Hello, welcome. My name is Brooke Oberg. This is the basement at the Bureau. Right now, I'll do a practice that is heart-centered to create space and width in our heart, in our front, back, upper thoracic areas. We'll start situated lying down on a mat with our scapula right below our shoulders and our head rested on a blanket. If you need more support for your head, you could also use another block if the blanket's too low. Holding onto opposite elbow, reaching your elbows overhead to frame your face. And then you can keep the knees bent for more leverage or fully extend through the legs. So right away we start by taking some deep breaths and creating a little more length and extension of our front spine, expanding our breath into the back of our hearts, into the yoga block, taking nice, beautiful, luxurious breaths. Anywhere from about 3 to 5, then you can go ahead a few times, stretch the arms, give yourself a hug, plug the shoulders in and down the back, and grab hold of opposing elbow to take a few more breaths. Again, knees can stay bent. Focusing that breath into the back of the lungs, into the back of the heart. Creating more width and more room, more support for your front spine to settle in and to extend a little longer, more spacious. You can think of that extension from your pubic bone to your navel, to your heart, all the way to your throat, into the crown of your head, legs reaching long like a tail in opposition. Just taking a moment to really settle in. Find a little more reach of the inner thighs as you reach the mounds of the big toes away from the upper inner thighs, navel. Then you can bend the knees, reach the arms up, down. Take your hands behind your head to help you lift back up. Okay, we'll remove the block and the blanket. And then prop yourself up seated actually on a block or a blanket for some stretches using a strap. Take a moment, find a good seat, maybe spiral the upper inner thighs back and apart to clearly sit on your sit bones. And then taking hold of the strap with your two hands. The strap should be wider than shoulder distance. The tighter the shoulders, the wider the strap. Take a moment, plug and unplug the shoulders with long arms, long elbows, long wrists. Really integrate the arm bones into the back of the shoulder socket. You can even take some shoulder circles, rolling up, back, and down. And once those shoulders are in a nice space there, you inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, find a first point of resistance, stretching the arms behind you a degree or two. Everyone will be different depending how tight your own shoulders are. Be sure to stay rooted through your sit bones, long in your side body. Nice lifted posture, head on top of heart, heart on top of pelvis. And then you can hold the strap behind you for a few breaths and maybe bend the elbows and re-extend the elbows like you're doing a lat pull. Really sense the scapula in and on your back. And then gently lowering the arms back down, reintegrate shoulders, lift the arms, exhale, bend the elbows, and extend, and bend, and extend. So you can really play around with the strap. Make sure there's equal pressure of your hands into the strap. Right hand pulls the strap gently to the right. Left hand gently pulls the strap to the left. Then if you're okay with it, maybe take the strap arms all the way down to the back of your sacrum and all the way back, forward and up to the front of your pelvis. So reach back, up, and circle all the way around. So make a big circle, then up, back, and all the way down. It's really essential that you keep good posture here. So if this is too hard to sit on the floor, you can always sit in a chair. Then maybe playing around with Reaching one elbow point up to the ceiling as the other arm pulls the strap down to the floor. A little tricep stretch here. Feels good. Find the integration between your two hands, two shoulders. And then find a little deeper stretch by switching your grip with the bottom hand and really pulling that strap down and back to a diagonal of the elbow point lifting up. Be sure to keep the armpits hollow so the shoulders stay really grounded and integrated in your back and the arm bones not pushing out in the tricep stretch. So it's a good thing to pay attention to those armpits of yours. Make sure they're hollow. Arm bone plugged in and back. And then one more time, nice wide grip here. Reach the arms all the way back and down and all the way back up and forward. Nice deep full breaths. Be sure to sense the stretch, but you're not killing yourself either. Maybe turn your head side to side. Feel the opposing chest get a little bit more width. And then go ahead and remove the strap to the side. We'll continue now on all fours, moving that blanket out of the way for some cat-cows. Lengthening your side body, shrugging shoulders up to your ears in opposition from keeping your hips on top of your knees. Keeping that length as you round your back to cat, pushing down through shins and forearms, releasing your head. And continue to keep the round spine as you push down through your hands and shins and lift the back of your heart to the sky. Add a gentle forward and back motion to keep spreading the back body. And then gently coming into cow, arcing the low back, and then back to cat. So a few times more. Articulate into cow, opening chest, collarbone wide, and then returning to cat, broad, round, spacious back. Allowing your body to shift slightly forward, slightly back as you continue your cat-cows. And then optional to flip your wrists either to the side or fingers facing all the way back to your knees, just to promote a little bit more width in your collarbone. Again, keep the elongation by shrugging shoulders up to ears to really lengthen your side body. Feel the openness across your heels of your hands, up through your upper back, ridge of the scapula. Such an enormous stretch. And then again, a few cows. Open your back in the front spine, your cow, and then round your back, opening the back spine. If you have hypermobility in your elbows, just watching those elbows with this flipped wrist variation. Taking a moment, really melt that heart. And then one more time, coming back to cat. And then in a neutral spine, take some little circles. Feel the movement of the femurs and the hips and the arm bones and the scapula. And then return your hands back to normal position. Index finger points straight forward. And then go ahead, reaching right arm to the side, then right arm back to the hip, and then side and forward and front. As the arm goes behind you, draw the thumb down, an internal rotation. Arm reaches forward in front of you, thumb up in an external rotation. Keep the arm reaching back with the opposing left thigh, and then maybe catch your ankle and kick up into your hand with your top of your foot. Maybe turn to look over your right shoulder. Take a few breaths to open up your right chest. Maybe take your hand to the inside or the outside of the foot to promote more width in your chest. Then we'll do side two. Keep a neutral, stable spine. Reaching arm to the side, back to your hip, to the side, and then forward in front of you. Focus on finding that rotation in your shoulder joint. And then you can reach that opposing leg up, maybe catch your foot with your hand and kick up, turning your gaze over your left shoulder. Keep that strength down through your right hand as much as you press up into your left hand. Maybe take a grip to the outside of your ankle to promote more width in your chest, and then gently release. Stretch back through your right calf, pressing open through that hamstring, and then same thing with the opposing leg, grounding down through your hands, pressing open that back left calf, left hamstring. Then taking your two blocks, going into a puppy pose variation to create more awareness and opening in the back of our heart. The elbow points press down and gently back toward your armpits to keep the armpits floating up, away from the floor. Palm to palm connection. And with the knees staying directly underneath your hips, you elongate the side body on the inhale, lengthening your side, and then exhale, gently melting the heart through your scapula. When you've had enough, go ahead, take the blocks away. Coming onto your forearms with the palms flipped up to the ceiling. Again, just to promote more width in your chest, width in your back, and then again, round your back and do what we started with, gently rocking forward and back in your cat back to create more width and opening across the mid upper spine. Breathing into the back of the heart. Such a good opener for the mid-thoracic spine here. And then gently press back to all fours. Left arm reaches out to the side, and then thread the needle. Rotating your waist ribs, and then you can reach the right arm forward out of the right hip. Keep some activity down through your shin bones. Some gentle lift in your waist ribs so you don't collapse your abdomen down. So thread the needle, side 2, right arm we use underneath your body to the left. Left arm reaches right out of the outer left hip, releasing onto the outer right shoulder, side of the right side of your skull. Taking deep breaths as you inhale, rotating as you exhale, and press back up to quadruped after that. Curling 10 toes under. You hover, float the knees, and then pike the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Really, again, press down through hands, hollow up through your armpits, and then round your back to come to plank. Lower the knees, soften your heart to cow, and then we do it again. Down dog, round, forward, plank. Float the knees, soften your chest, cow. One more time, press it up and back. Round, open that low mid upper spine, plank, drop the knees, soften your heart, cow. Then drop the elbows and then press back to your hands. So find that connection from your hands into the back body here. Hands press down, waist ribs lift up. Now here's some tricep circles. We drop the elbows down and we slide the chest forward and through, finding our way into a cow position. Then stay on the fours, pike the hips up, dolphin pose. Drop the knees, press up to all fours, and then drop the elbows, lift back to dolphin. Again, just get a sense of how those hands connect up into the back body. Feel the participation of the ribs having to lift up, the gentleness of the waistline having to support you as well. Back in dolphin pose, press up into downward facing dog, and then round your back plank. Drop the knees, drop the forearms. Such good shoulder work, learning how to keep some strength as you soften the heart, some width, some space as you integrate is so important in the shoulder girdle and mid-thoracic spine. So again, one more time, dolphin, pressing to dog, rounding, opening low, mid, upper spine to plank, and then directly back to dolphin, press to dog, round, plank, and then pike the hips up. Knees can bend as you transition there to dolphin, rounding forward, plank. And then again, dolphin pose, dog. Then walk the feet in a little bit, shorten your dog, widen your dog. Let's take another rotation here. Pressing down through hands, hollowing armpits, lengthening side. We'll take left hand to outer right shin, and then bend that left knee right into the outer left shoulder to give you some stability to lean back into as you continue to rotate left to right. And then side 2, ground left hand, take hold of left outer shin with right hand, and then bend your right knee right into the right outer shoulder and lean back into that stability as you rotate right to left. And then come back, downward facing dog, round, come forward, plank pose, rocking gently forward, gently back, lifting through your middle, and then pike it up to downward dog. Walking hands now back to your feet, holding opposite elbow, keeping that wide stance as you just gently do a nice sway here, side to side. One knee bends, one knee lengthens. And then finding a nice hip distance width stance, holding opposite elbow and press up to standing. Release your arms down by your side. Then find your way in the middle of your mat. Take a nice wide stance, Prasarita Padottanasana. Widen your scapula, open your chest, lace your fingers, inhale. Hinging at the hips, exhale, forward fold. Release the arms down by the sides of the ankles, lift your shoulders up and out of those ears, wide chest, wide back. Then hands under shoulders, laterally walk your hands over to your left. Keep that grounding through your right foot. Tone to the right thigh, and then wrap your right hand around your left shin, reaching that left arm out. Similar to thread the needle, but now our legs are long in a wide position. Come back to middle, gently forward fold, release your head. Again, widen your shoulders. And let's go side 2. So laterally walk over to your right, grab hold of the outer right shin with left hand, and then walk your right arm out directly out of that right hip as you rotate from your left to your right. Pull that elbow straight down to the floor, that left elbow that is, and then maybe take your right hand, cross the midline, and hold on to the outer left shin. Push into your hands with your shin bones and expand the space between the back of the heart. Broaden that mid-thoracic spine. Release that right arm up and then cross it over the left arm now, back to the outer left shin. Do that a couple more times if it feels good. And if that's too challenging, you can go back, just do one leg at a time. But if you have this bind, it's so fun because you can really use your legs and press them into your hands and expand both sides of your mid-thoracics away from that center line of your heart, center line of your spine. Try to keep some energy down through your feet from your sit bones, low belly, in and up, and then change your hands out underneath the shoulders, bending your knees into a nice wide squat here, inner knee to outer knee. This little sway here, deep hip opener. And then keep your wide stance. Let's move into Trikonasana. We'll bump your right hip back, slide left hand down left leg, and then do a different variation of Trikonasana, reaching your left outer shoulder to left inner knee. Find some stability there. And then reach that right fingertips down and forward. Feel an enormous stretch to the right side body. Lifting bottom left waist, opening, fanning the right top ribs. And maybe you can take a bind here, taking left hand to outer right shin, right hand to outer left shin, and rotate open here, firming outer left hip under. Beautiful. Back to a nice standing position, meeting in the middle, and then trikonasana, side 2. Bumping your hips again to your left. Slide down right shin. Take your right hand toward your left foot. Flip your wrist, of course, and then reach that top left arm overhead, fanning left side waist, lifting bottom right waistline. Either keep the fingertips for leverage, reaching away from one another, or take a nice bind, grabbing hold of your left leg with your right hand and the right leg and the left leg with your right hand. Spin your chest open, keep hollowing your top armpit, firming right buttock under. And gently coming out of that bind, slide back up to standing. Heel toe the feet back in. And then stand at the front of your mat. Ground through your feet. Tadasana. Hold opposite elbows. Make a frame. Press into your hands with your elbows as you lower into your squat. And then take your hands behind you and have a seat. Come to the middle of your mat. Do a nice little tabletop. You can either stay with your hands behind you and just lift your hips up into a nice tabletop. Taking a moment to open up your chest, open up your hips, your front spine. Feel the support and that leverage down through your 2 hands and your 2 feet. Back, glutes, hamstrings all turn on a bit. Last couple here. Lengthening through the front of pelvis. Maybe take your head back, opening through your throat. Nice deep breath. And then gently hinging at your hips, lower back down. Try to sustain all that length you just created. And then we're going to continue with our gate pose. I'm going to take a moment here and work some external rotation. Feel that external rotation, how that articulates up into our shoulders. Step your left leg out to the side, reach the right arm down, roll the top shoulder back. Do our external rotation, feel both shoulders on our back. And then take a few moments and reach the top arm overhead, bicep to ear. Actively press down through the opposing leg. And keeping that bottom right shoulder really in the socket, or the right scapula stable. Maybe take a full side bend, and then maybe take it into wild thing, stepping that back foot behind you on the balls of those toes. Support your head with the top hand, and then coming back to your side plank variation, and then peel your spine to come up. Here we go into our simple gait. Just lifting up through your right side waist through fingertips, feeling that integration thigh through pelvis to top arm. Bending elbow, grab the head to support it as you take another deep breath in. And we'll go side 2. Find that external rotation and keep that sense of that external rotation, the shoulders staying in and on the back. As you reach energy and length through that top right arm, accent down through your bottom right leg. Then you feel stable, maybe take it into full Vashisthasana, side plank. Keeping that left shoulder head back, of course. Maybe take it into wild thing. Set the top leg back on ball mounds. Support your head, lift your heart, spacious, broad heart up through the center of your chest. Then coming back to Vashisthasana. And transitioning back onto that left shin bone for gate pose. Left arm reaches up by the left thigh. Pelvis is vertical. Nice deep breaths into the left side body. And then gently release. Nice work. Taking your block now. To the side view so you can see me here. I'll place that block right between my ankles, I can squeeze the block with my ankles to bring some energy into my leg muscles. Drawing all 10 toes down, making sure my knees point straight forward. This is 2. If this is not supportive to you, take another block or another blanket to prop yourself up. You should have no pain in your knees, and the knee should be pulling right out of the hip. Then holding onto your shoulders, you can do your shoulder circles. And then reaching that right arm up, grab hold of that right elbow with the left hand for a tricep stretch, or maybe reach that left arm to the side and reach up your back and clasp your hands for gomukasana arms. Again, think of your shoulders staying level and armpits hollow. Side 2, roll the shoulder heads back. Take a couple shoulder circles here, rolling your shoulders forward to promote that opening in the upper back of your heart. And some little circles to balance it out. Arms reach to the side of the heart, then bending that top left elbow for a tricep stretch, and maybe taking the right hand to the side, rotating thumb down, and then reaching up your back. Your hand should be at the back of the heart space, so really breathe deep breaths into your hands here. Keep working on widening your collarbones. Release that, arms to the side. Now we'll do eagle arms, garundasana arms. We'll take your right forearm on top of left, elbows stacking, then lace the forearms if possible. And then elbows reach forward and up, and go forward and up and forward and down to open the back body. And then left upper arm crossed over right upper arm, elbows stacked, forearms laced up to hands. And the elbows gently go forward and down, create width between your scapula and your back. Such a good stretch for your scapula and your back body. And gently come off the block. You can still squeeze the block with your shin bones, or your ankles, to bring some more integrity to the muscles up into the pelvis. Find your external rotation, elbows in, forearms out. Feel the scapula on your back, and transition into your camel. If you can't reach your ankles, you can just keep the hands at your heart. Initially start with your chin to your chest. Then you can open up your throat if your neck's okay with it, and drop your head right between the space of your shoulders. Then hands to heart, lift your heart to come back up and have a seat hinging at your hips. Pressing back up. Another camel here. Externally rotate, open your collarbone, chest, root down through your shin bones. Pelvis is vertical. Feeling that lift coming from the back of your heart through the front of your chest. Keep pulling energy up from the inner knee into the pelvic center, right out to the heart. Head then can release back. And then hands to heart to lift you back up, hinging at the hips to have a seat. Reconnect. Take a breath or two. And we got one more time, camel pose. Set yourself up, feel all your sides, front and back, left and right, all pull up to the center. Scapula lifted, heart is buoyant. With each breath, it gets a little bit more lifted. Feel the tone, engagement of the upper thighs. Maybe hold on to the upper thighs for a deeper expression of camel pose. Keep working like crazy through your lower body. Feet hug that block. Then hands to heart to lift you back up. Hinging at the hips, have a seat. Nice work. Remove the block. Take your blanket now. We'll use that blanket as a pillow for our head, and we'll take one yoga block to be position right in the back of our scapula. If it's okay with your knees, you can take a virasana variation here. The ankles hug the outer hip, draw the pelvis under you and posterior tilt. Lift your frontal hip points and then ease your scapula back of heart into that block. You can breathe into the back of the block. Then hold your elbows, make a frame for your face as you reach the forearms up and over. Again, have a sense of your collarbone being wide, your armpits are hollow, your shoulders, heart is supported here. Then hold opposite elbow and do the same thing, feeling how those upper arms reach right out of the scapula and essentially right out of the low back. Deep breaths into the sides of the waist. And then taking hold of a strap or a scarf, something wider than your shoulders. You can protract, retract the shoulders here. Take a couple of shoulder circles. Still with your heart supported on that block. And maybe reach the arms up and overhead. And then up to the ceiling and back down to the hips. Such good work for the shoulders. You want to make sure that your strap stays level and even to bring more balance between right and left shoulders. Maybe keep the strap behind you for a couple breaths to promote more width in your chest through the reach of your arms. And release the strap to the side. Hands then can go behind you, under shoulders, fingers face the feet, and you can press up into another back bend, gomukasana. Take a couple of breaths here and then push down through your shin bones and gently pull yourself up through camel pose, back to on your shins. Have a seat down. Gently release, removing the blanket and removing the block out of the way. Gently roll back down, supine. And we'll continue with something called fish pose. Not only good to create more width and opening in our heart, chest space, but also in our throat, so we can communicate what our heart needs, what our heart is telling us. So we are a whole body, and one part of our body affects the other part. So when we work on our heart space, that's going to affect our throat and help us communicate that. Extend through the thighs like a tail, reaching through the inner foot. Then when you've had enough, you can bend your knees, walk the feet in, draw the feet wide and then knees to touch to promote more width in your low back, sacrum. And then optional to draw one hand to your heart space, one hand to your belly. Take a few rounds of breath here. Breathe all the way down into the pelvic floor, touching the pelvic floor with your breath on the inhale. Feel that rise all the way up into the heart space. Heart lifts into your hand. And then let the exhales be light. A grounding sense. And then you can gently roll to your side. Use your hands to come up. Take a nice seat to end your practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope your heart feels light and buoyant.